Jordan, take us down at 10. So we will go in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to the Vawlin Out podcast. I'm your host, Jordan, here with my co-host, doing the most, Stetson Bennett.
Oh, man.
I'm just kidding. It's Grant. How you doing today, buddy?
Man, for all the listeners out there, so before we jumped on and hit record, I went to the barber shop and got my hair cut. I told the guy, I said, fade it up on the sides. Just buzz the top of it, Don't make me look like Stetson Bennett. But then the guy literally makes me look like I'm Stetson Bennett. So Stetson Bennett reporting to you from the Vawlin Out podcast today. I hope that all of Vol Nation is doing well, and call me.
Oh, man. Well, buddy, bad as we hate to, we're going to talk about that trip to College Station. Give us a player of the game. If we got one, put somebody on the milk carton. We definitely have somebody to put on that.
I think we got put on there.
Right. We're going to look ahead to the Vols trip to Bud Walton Arena Wednesday night, take a trip around the SEC, all that good mess. You know the drill, buddy. Let's run it.
Let's do it. So, guys, I do want to apologize first off for us being a little bit late on getting this to you guys. I don't think that you guys you guys can hear it in my voice. I still don't feel well. I've been on my deathbed since about Friday night, but we're alive today. We're going to bring the episode to you guys. So on Saturday night, the Volunteers just got blown out by the Texas A&M Aggies with a final score of 85-69. Man, not a lot good came from this game. I mean, no. I don't really know what else to say.
No, man, that was the worst game I think I've seen us play all year.
I would go out far enough to say that's the worst a Rick Barnes coach team has played at Tennessee.
I could see that. I mean, it was just not – it was ugly, man.
Well, it was, man. I mean, you kind of diving into the box score right here. Tennessee shot 37.1% from the field, 27.5% from three, and 60% from the line, where A&M, man, they had the best damn day of the whole year for them. 46.7% from the field, almost 40% from three, 39.3%. So I'm going to call it 40% because it's so damn close. And then 72% from the line. I mean, Tennessee did not hold a lead in this game the entire time on Saturday night.
I know it, dude. It was crazy, dude. Wade Taylor, man, he come out hotter than Tomcat balls.
Dude, baller. Like, yeah. I don't even know what else to say about the guy. I mean, he played 35 minutes, 8 of 18 from the field, 5 of 11 from three, and he scored 25 points. And then Tyrese Radford, I'm sorry. Have yourself a day, young man.
Oh, yeah, dude. He got like
27 points.
The whole team, man, played good. That the Anderson kid, man. Gee, what's his last name?
Anderson Garcia. Yeah, he had 6 points in 33 minutes, 1 of 2 from the field, but he had 17 rebounds.
That's what blows my mind. I mean, God almighty, son.
Yeah, I mean, man, Tennessee has got a lot of issues right now with this team. And I'm not saying that Tennessee is somebody that people need to take out of the brackets. I still think Tennessee is a really good basketball team. And I still think Tennessee is one of the top 5 teams in the country. I'm not changing my pace on this team right here. But, guys, I want to say this. You have an SEC football mentality for basketball where you have to win every game in football. In basketball, you're going to stump your toe and you're going to lose to a couple of teams you probably shouldn't lose to. And this happened to be that. I mean, you're on the road in College Station, which has always been a really tough place for Tennessee to go play. And then you think about it this way, man. I mean, they shot the best that they've shot all year.
Oh, yeah. Well, you and I were texting during the game, and I was like, they've got to cool off in the second half, and they sure as hell didn't.
No. Well, man, no. I mean, that's one of those things right there where Tennessee changed their game plan on it. And I was watching the Sports Source on Sunday, and Mark Pankratz was on there. If you guys haven't had a chance to go jump on YouTube and watch that after you watch our episode here. But Mark Pankratz even said, why change your defensive game plan? Because they're not going to continue to keep on hitting them. Like you saw it in the first half, A&M shot great from 3-point. Well, the second half, they kind of drove in more towards the basket because we changed our game plan. And we left the inside open versus the outside. And it's like, okay, pick your poison right here. Which one is actually going to be the issue here? And Tennessee didn't have any way to kind of get a hold of it.
Yeah, it was almost like Barnes sort of over-adjusted, so to speak, because you can do that. You can say, okay, now I have to chase them off the 3-point line. But, at the same time, I kind of get it because, Wade Taylor, dude, some of the when some of the stuff he was throwing up is going in, it's going to be a long night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it it was, man. I mean, there's no really way to get around it. Kind of jumping into what Tennessee did in this game. Jonas Adu, 20 minutes, 3 of 5 from the field, 5 rebounds. Not enough.
No.
Not enough at all. 1 steal, so that's good. 6 points. Shit game for him. I'm just going to call it what it is. We need more from Jonas Adu. If Tennessee is going to cut down nets in April, Jonas Adu has to be one of the key contributors to this team. Dalton Connect in 28 minutes, 6 of 15 from the field, 6 of 11 from 3. So he didn't hit a single 2-pointer. 4 of 9 from the line. Not good.
No.
Not good at all. 7 rebounds, sorry. 2 blocks for Dalton, so his defense is getting a lot better. 22 points. I mean, he was really the only guy for Tennessee that kind of showed up all night. I mean, other than Ziegler, but I'm going to spend a second talking on Ziegler now. 40 minutes in this game for Z. Why is this even a thing? Like, Rick Barnes has been a coach for so long, and he needs to understand, hey, if Zakai is going out here and he's playing 40 minutes and he's going out there and he's doing all this, how's he going to be okay come March? He's coming off of a blown out knee, for Christ's sakes. Like, that's what I don't understand right here. Like, get him down to 25 minutes a game right now, 30 minutes a game.
Now's the time if you're going to start doing it and you can afford to do it. Like this next, that was something kind of that we talked about the other day when we were talking about this stretch of 6 games, now down to 4 games. If you can build up a lead and you can rest some of these guys, do it now.
Yeah.
Do it now.
Well, man, and that goes back to the Florida game right there. Tennessee's up by 30 in that game, and we still got Dalton and Z out there playing until the very end. Like, we saw what happened last year with Zakai. His knee gets blown out. Tennessee's whole season is over with. Tennessee would have been a Final Four team last year if Z would have been playing.
Sure. Yeah.
Plain and simple. FAU wouldn't have even been a ball game if Z was playing. But you look at this, man, 40 minutes coming off of a blown out knee. That is way too many. And I know Rick tried to take him out. That's what all the stuff has been that's came out from this game. Saying, hey, Zakai, go sit on the bench for a little bit. Go sit down. Go sit down. No, coach, I'm good. I'm staying in. I'm staying in. At that point, that's where you're the head coach and you say, no, you come over here and you sit your ass down next to me for the next 3 minutes. You don't call the shots on the team. I call the shots as the coach.
Well, I'll say this. He don't hesitate to do it with Dalton.
No, not at all.
I think the difference between Z and Dalton, Z, you can see the intensity build up in him as the game goes on and as he starts feeling it. Dalton, he's very monotone to me. You don't see him get worked up. You don't see nothing but this right here. And then, when Z's ready to go, he's ready to go. I mean, he told the Georgia guy the other day to suck it,
Yeah,
so when he's ready, when he's fired up, and he's a spark plug. And I think that probably played into part of him being like, no, I'm not. If you want to stay in, stay in. Because Tennessee needed something.
Yeah, but what happens if Zakai blows out his knee, man? What happens if it happens again? The whole season is over with. Whole season is over with. And you've got a guy like Vescovy on the team who can run point for you. Like, that's my whole thing with this. Like, Zakai needs to sit on the bench some. Like, we haven't seen Freddie Dillon in 3 or 4 games now at this point.
Yeah. That's a little strange.
It wouldn't surprise me if the kid wants to go hit the transfer portal, honestly. I mean, he's not gotten any playing time. It's his 2nd year in the program. Like, at some point, he's got to do what's best for himself and make a business decision, But
right.
In Zakai's 40 minutes, 5 of 15 from the field, 1 of 8 from 3, 4 of 7 from the line, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, 3 turnovers, 15 points. I can't have an issue with anything Zakai does or did in that game. I mean, he's doing everything he can for this team. And as I get down to these next 2 guys, I mean, what's the point of even playing him at this point? I mean, Santiago Vescovy, 30 minutes, 1 of 6 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 2 of 2 from the line. So he was the only person who hit all of his free throws. Right. I mean, but then he ends the game with 5 points. Josiah Jordan-James, 31 minutes, 2 of 7 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3, 4 points.
So what you're telling me is Tennessee got what they needed from Zakai and Dalton. Nobody else stepped up.
Not a single person showed up. I mean, Jordan
'Cause,
Gainey, who's played the best ball recently, got you 4 points.
Josiah Jordan James, 4 points. Santi, 5. That's about what he's done all year. Whatever. I'm not going to ride him over that. Adu. If you get 10 more out of Adu and 10 out of Josiah, we're probably winning the game. We're having a totally different show.
You're not wrong on that. I mean, it goes that way now. Concerns I have for this team long term is you've got two guys who bring it every single night. It's proven Dalton and Z are going to bring it every single night. If Tennessee's going to go far in March, Santiago Vescovi and Josiah and Jordan James have to stand up.
Yeah. I would say more from a scoring standpoint, Tennessee would need Josiah to step up a little bit more than Santi. Santi's not going to go off for 25 or 30. He's just not.
And it's sad, too, because he used to be the guy who could get that for you any night. I don't know what's gone on with him. I mean, things change up at the office. It may be a little bit more difficult for him now that Dalton's the main guy on the team. But at the same time, man, like, what? I don't understand why you even came back to Rocky Top for a 5th year if this is what you're going to do.
I think there's too many mouths to feed, and he's probably the last one up to the plate to the line. You know what I'm saying? To the chow line.
Yeah, I mean, but you look at this, man. I mean, there's no reason he shouldn't be the 3rd or 4th option on this team, which I think is what his game fits perfectly.
Right. Well, and too, we've seen it against LSU, man. He would pass up shots. He passes up good shots now. I just don't think he's confident, man. I think that's what it is. I really think that's what's going on with it. And there's only one way to do it, and that's shoot the ball. But if he's not confident in shooting the ball, he don't need to shoot it.
Well, and I agree with that, man. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, what Santi's given you this year is what you're going to get out of him. And I hate it because he's one of those guys who's been here for a long time, who's been a protector of the culture that Rick Barnes has set. I mean,
right.
You think about it, Santi jumps off the plane and, scores. He hits like 3 threes in a row to start out his career against LSU at Thompson-Boling Arena back then. I mean,
right.
This was 2020, pre-pandemic. So, I mean, we're going back 4 years, man. And I just hate that it's turned out this way for the kid because it shouldn't be that way at all for him. And then Josiah, man, you had a really good game at Rupp. You played well against LSU at the Food City Center the other night.
Yeah.
Why does it turn into a 4-point game whenever your team needs you? Like, Tennessee gets 12 points from Josiah. And we're talking about a completely different ball game where somebody else stands up.
Right. That's what I was saying earlier, man. If you get 10 more from Adu and 6 to 8 more from him, that's 18 points, dude. We win that game 87-85, and it's not we're, like I say, we're having a totally different conversation today. But, man, it sucks because these next 4 games, we get Texas A&M again. We struggle with Arkansas. Yeah. We've always struggled with Arkansas, and we have to go there. T-shirt night and Bud Walton. And then we got Vanderbilt. They'll probably play us tougher than what we want to be played. And then who's the other one? Missouri.
Mizzou, yeah. I don't see there being any issues with those next 4 games, honestly, just because Arkansas is a dog shit team. I'm just going to call them what they are. They're horrible this year. Mizzou is the worst team probably in all of Power 6 ball this year. I mean, Mizzou is just god awful. A&M, they're coming to the Food City Center. I mean, but that's a bad matchup for Tennessee at the same time. It's like South Carolina. Team that's really physical, Tennessee can't play against for whatever reason.
No. We've talked about it before. A physical team like Tennessee does not like being played physical. They'll play you physical. They'll beat you up. They'll do whatever. But if you get back up in their kitchen, they don't like it. And it's showed twice now.
It's so weird, man, because since Rick Barnes has been in Knoxville, Tennessee has predicated themselves around being a very physical, defensive-minded basketball team.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going on with it. I just really don't, man.
It seems like this year, and it's weird to say it because, we've got a lot of guys that are back, Santi, Triple J, Z, Adu, this, that, and the other. So you would think the culture that culture is still there, but it seems like they're more worried now about finessing their way through a game instead of being like, you know what, I'm going to go take this game because there's
Well,
times when Adu's got the ball down low. It's just like he's just trying to finesse it. And it's like, dude, no, you're damn near 7 foot tall. Handle business.
yeah, I don't understand what's going on with this team right now. But once again, I'm going to go back to what I said at the very beginning. We're having an SEC football mentality for basketball right now. Like,
Yeah.
you look at coaches in the Big East. They drop, hell, 7 games, 6 games through this point in the year.
Yeah.
Nobody's worried up there.
No.
They're like, oh, well, you play a lot of games. There's 40 maximum games. So it is what it is. The tournament's what matters.
Right.
We need to teach ourselves to think that way. If anything, that's what I'm trying to say here more than anything for everybody.
That's one thing I will definitely agree with you on, because Saturday night got on Facebook, got on Twitter, and
the world was coming to an end.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fire Ricky Dale. People like that are why we can't have nice things. I'm just saying.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. You fire Rick Barnes. Who do you go get?
Exactly.
Who do you go get? Because let's think about it this way, man. Tennessee has never been this good in basketball for a sustained period of time. It's just never happened.
Right.
9 years of Rick being on the hill, and look at where we are. It's great what he's done. Sure, I'm unhappy with some things I've seen. You are as well, just like everybody else is. And that's what's great about being a fan at the end of the day. You have the right to feel or say whatever you want to. But think about what you say before you post it on Twitter. That's all I'm going to say right there. Because it affects a lot of different things. There's recruits that see stuff like that. There's boosters who see stuff like that. And then eventually, if enough of the fan base gets tired of Rick Barnes, well, guess what? He's going to end up losing his job. And who's Tennessee going to hire?
Exactly. If you're going to send out a tweet, don't tag players.
No.
Don't.
Well, that's just.
They're kids at the end of the day. Don't do it. Just don't.
At that Illinois game, man, there was a guy who was just riding one of the Illinois players in front of us over there. He was riding him. And one of the guys who was an Illinois fan a couple rows back screamed down to him and said, hey, they're student athletes. Drop it. And I agreed with the Illinois fan. But then the guy turns around and goes, student athletes? Like, are they really students? Yes, they are. They're kids going to college. Like, we got to remember that. And like, man, I'll say this too. Those kids are so much more mature than I was at that age, because if somebody would have tweeted at me something like that, I would have clapped right back first thing.
Oh, you know it, son. My little fat fingers have been flying, son.
Yeah,
just I would have getting it.
It would have been bad. Well, Jordan, who is your player of the game?
Oh, buddy. You know what? I'm gonna go with Z. He played Iron Man ball. 40 minutes. Got to give it to him.
It's hard not to. 6 assists, 4 steals, 3 turnovers. The 3 turnovers I'm not happy with, but 15 points. Can't ask for anything more out of the kid. And then let's think about this way too. 6 rebounds for the 5'0" guy out of the Bronx. Man,
he's crazy, man. He gets down in there with amongst the trees.
He really does, man. I love that kid.
So that being said, who's on the milk carton?
Man, the whole damn team.
Rest of the team.
The whole damn team. I'm even putting Zakai and Dalton on it. It just wasn't even fun to watch, man. Like,
no, man.
That's the problem with that game, is it was not fun.
No, it wasn't. Here's one thing I want to know too. We were kind of talking about it. Seemed like it got kind of heated between Dalton and Ricky Dale for a minute.
Yeah, man. I don't really know what that was about, but then like Meshack came over and pulled Dalton away from him. And it's like, okay, what's going on right here? But I will say this, Rick Barnes was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
He said, hey, I'm going to pick on the best player on the team, and hopefully it fucking lights a fire underneath everybody. Sorry for my language right there, but hopefully it lights a fire underneath everybody.
Right. Well, it definitely lit a fire under him, because he come back in, played with 4 fouls, and went down 3 trips up the court. Bam, 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 3 threes. And it kind of got him back into it. That being said, at what point, or this is the point that I felt like it was a dagger to the run that we were making, because we cut it to 10 points with about 3 minutes to go. Buzz Williams runs 2 half court, gets a timeout, gets a warning for it. Rick was pissed.
Well, did you see what Rick said on Vol Calls on Monday night?
I didn't catch that. What did he say?
He said that next time a coach runs out onto the floor, he's implementing a drill for any player who's close to him to go run him over.
Good. He
I mean,
should.
that is kind of crazy to hear Rick Barnes saying that, but that's how much it upset him. I mean, and it's bullshit. At the end of the day, don't step on the floor. Like, you're a coach. You are supposed to not affect the game on the court. You coach the team. You tell them what to do. You do all that, but don't step on the floor. Like, we have that issue with Calipari every single time we play him. Same issue with Bruce. They're always on the floor. But then this
Right.
guy runs to half court. I mean, he's out at the logo.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy, man. And the thing about it is we were in the middle of a big run to get ourselves back into that game. He gets that technical, say we actually knock down our 2 free throws, we cut it to 8, and then we get the ball back. Who knows what goes on from there? I'm not saying it would have mattered ultimately at the end of the day, maybe change the outcome, but it's a big what if, because that was a big moment in the game, and Tennessee actually had built up some momentum at that point.
Well, and it's sad that the only way you're going to get a technical called on that is if you run over the coach. It's sad that that's the only way it's going to happen, but make the guy realize, hey, this isn't your job right here. Like, you stay on the bench, you stay on the sideline right there. Whenever the ball's across half court, you've got that little line about yay big where you can go step out across to, and you can coach on the floor to be a little bit closer to your team, but where you can see defensive sevens and all that. That's the only thing you can do right there.
Right.
And you shouldn't, the only way to get technical shouldn't be running over the guy at the end of the day.
Quick question. If you're telling somebody to run over him, who are you telling to do it?
Tobey, of course.
No
Tobey
doubt.
was the one who was right there too, man.
Yeah, well, Tobey should have been wanting to run somebody over. He got put on a poster early in the game. But, yeah, it is what it is, man. I don't think that, again, I'm not saying that played a part in the outcome of the game. I don't think it would have changed whether Tennessee had won or lost. I do think, though, that was something that could have impacted it one way or the other, and it went the other way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the biggest moments of the basketball game. And like I said, I like what Rick said on Vol Calls on Monday night, because Rick could have easily said, hey, it is what it is. But Rick said, no, we stand on business at the end of the day. If you want to go step out on the floor, then you're going to have to be prepared for it. And this is the one thing I'm going to say on this, too, before we run the break. Rick Barnes doesn't step out on the floor. You never see Rick Barnes leave his side. So he's a coach who can say stuff like that. If Bruce was saying that, or Billy Donovan back in his Florida days, or Rick Pitino, or John Calipari, Buzz Williams, you're laughing. You're like, okay, You're a hypocrite. But Rick Barnes is one of the few coaches in America who can say that, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you absolutely, man. Man, that at that point in the game, I was already pissed off. I was just like, somebody please run over him. Just, do what you got to do. And then everybody was mad about Barnes taking that timeout with 15 seconds to go. All that was to him to get on the officials again. And I don't blame him.
It wasn't for that. It was to send a message to the team that you don't give up any time. That's my opinion on that.
I could see it going both ways too with that. I thought that too, but I really think a lot of it, because, I mean, he went straight to the official as soon as he took a timeout and was still going at him. So
but Rick's always done that. I mean, you remember when he was building his program in Knoxville? I mean, back whenever he just had Admiral Schofield on the team and Dietrich Mastella and Kevin Punter, that team was god-awful. I mean, horrible. One of the worst teams we've ever had at Tennessee. And he was calling timeouts at the end of the game saying, no, we're going to work on this right now because it's an in-game situation. It's going to help you grow. And that's what he did. But, man, let's get a word from some sponsors, and then let's jump back in and let's take a look around the SEC and do some bracketology. How does that sound?
Sounds like a plan to me, buddy.
So take us down in 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Grant, what do you say we take a trip around the SEC, bub?
Man, let's do it. So, guys, once again, did not have the time or energy to build some slides with all of our stuff. So you guys are just going to hear my voice talk about it, which I don't think anybody really wants to hear somebody sick talking, but here we are anyways. So Tennessee, A&M, not even thinking about that one anymore. 85-69 in the way of the Aggies. 16th ranked Alabama Crimson Tide travels down to Baton Rouge to face the LSU Tigers, 109-92 for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And another one right here, South Carolina just, 15-point dub over Vanderbilt. You want to talk about just, it's kind of crazy, man, how good South Carolina is this year.
Right? It's wild, dude.
I don't understand how they're this good.
They just come out of nowhere, man.
Well, and we'll talk about the standings here in a little bit, and I'll talk about the new rankings that were released yesterday here in a second too. But then Auburn took a trip on down to Gainesville, and whew, man, 16-point loss. Gators got a big dub over the Tigers.
That game was not even close, dude. Not even close.
Like it's crazy to me that it's just it worked out that way. Next one, you had a team step out of conference, and it was the Kentucky Wild Kittens took on the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Kentucky lost by 4 points.
Buddy, they're on a skid right now, and I saw something the other day. They've lost three straight in Rupp for the first time ever.
Yeah, the last time they lost 3 straight at home was in 1966, and Rupp Arena did not open until 1967.
That's crazy, dude.
Hey, the mighty fall sometimes too, man. It's good. Right? It's great to see, honestly. But this is the one thing I'm going to say. And so I want to spend this on you for a second, Jordan.
Okay.
With how Kentucky's playing lately, does it take away from that big night up north of the border for the Vols?
Absolutely not. That's a hard place to play, hard place to win in for Tennessee. Absolutely not. Because
I disagree with you.
I think Kentucky will end up coming out of this on the other side of it a little bit better, starting to gel. Because it's not like Gonzaga blew them out, and Gonzaga's not a bad team.
No, but Gonzaga's not ranked. So let's start off with that. Kentucky has lost to Florida, Tennessee, and Gonzaga, all at home. They've won 1 game over their past 4, which was against Arkansas. Like, I'm just going to say this, man. Tennessee went up north of the border to go play a top 10 team that was really maybe about 23rd, 28th out of the teams in the country.
Sure.
I think that the win doesn't carry as much weight. Now, here's the thing, and this is what's great on that. The committee doesn't look at that. Selection Sunday committee only looks at the quad 1 wins and where they were at and what the team was ranked at the time. They don't look at, how bad the team actually is. But this Kentucky team is not good at all. And I think that we're putting a little bit too much weight into that win north of the border a couple weeks ago. That's all I'm going to say right there. Because I think that Tennessee beat up on a team that wasn't that good.
Well, okay, so I see where you're coming from, but at the end of the day, man, Tennessee still went up there and hung 100 points. And they've lost. Tennessee's kind of in the same boat right now, man. We've not lost 3 in a row. We've lost 2 out of 4, though.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think Kentucky's not as good of a team as we all thought they were.
They're definitely not defensively.
Oh,
they're awful.
Team in America.
They're awful, like diarrhea through a screen door. Awful,
dude. It's bad how bad they are on defense.
But anytime you can go on the road and win, it's big and it's good. But especially when you're going to a place where Tennessee's won at how many times in the last 25 years?
No, since 1967, Tennessee's won 8 times in total, and 4 of those have been since Rick Barnes has came to the 865.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Like it's a problem for Tennessee to go up there and win. So to me, I'm going to say yes, but I get where you're coming from too. Maybe Kentucky isn't that good. Maybe, and I'll tell you something else too, talking about Florida. Maybe Florida's a little bit better than what we want to give them credit for.
I mean, I don't disagree with you on that, but going back to Kentucky, like I said, man, I think Tennessee just did what they were supposed to. Being the better team out of the 2, Tennessee did what they were supposed to. Florida, I think, is a way better team than anybody expected. Obviously, South Carolina is. A&M's a better team than I think all nation thought they were. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I think that Texas A&M loss this go around, we'll give it another 3 weeks or so after their trip up here. will not look as bad as it did Saturday night.
No, well, I think A&M is they're a top 25 team in America. Even though the rankings don't say it, I think that they are. I mean, I've said that all year. I have
They got
said that
off to a
all
slow
year.
start.
Well, they were really good to start out the year. They were ranked. I can't remember where it was.
They were top 20.
Yeah, I think they were all the way up to start the season. They were 15th.
Yeah.
They got as high as 12th. And then
it was like the
they
wheels
just
fell
started
off.
losing. Yeah, they started losing. The last game that they were ranked was on December the 10th against Memphis, which Memphis is not a good team at all this year, which, I just love that. But
you know what? I'm gonna give you a hot take here. I'm almost gonna say Florida might be better than Kentucky.
I don't disagree.
I mean, I think Florida. It will not surprise me in the least bit to see Florida make it to the Sweet 16.
No, it wouldn't surprise me, man. Todd Golden's a good coach. But jumping forward to these other games before we jump into the standings in the SEC, Arkansas, who is Tennessee's next opponent, they got an SEC dub for their third of the year. They got a win over Georgia, 78-75. Ooh. Not a whole lot there, but man, Arkansas wore the best jerseys I've seen in college basketball this year in that game.
Oh, yeah? I miss them.
So it was like in a circle where the number – you remember the old Tennessee ones that said Tennessee Volunteers, but they kind of came up in a whole circle almost? It was just like that, but it said Arkansas Razorbacks, and then the number's right in the middle.
Okay, cool.
Love those, man. Love those. Arkansas don't miss on jerseys. That's one thing the Hogs don't do. They don't miss on unis, but it's kind of hard to miss when you got the best logo in all of sports. It's really hard to miss. And then the last one of the day, Mississippi State takes on Missouri, and 24-point dub for the Bulldogs, 75-51. Mizzou is not a team that is worth anything. So jumping into SEC standings, sitting at the very top, you've got Alabama and South Carolina tied for first place. You would have told me South Carolina would be in first place in the SEC. February what's today's date? 13th. I would have said that you were on crack.
Yeah.
I would have said that there was no way possible, but here we are. Auburn is a half game above Tennessee due to the midweek buys. Auburn is currently in second place. Tennessee is in third place. A&M is in fourth place, tied in fourth place with Florida and Kentucky. Which that kind of goes to what you were saying earlier. I think Florida is a better team than Kentucky. I mean, diving into what they've done on the year, both teams are identical. 6-4 in SEC play, 16-7 on the season. Where the big difference for Florida is Florida's 10-1 at home, where Kentucky's 10-4.
Man,
yeah, just kind of crazy right there. Ole Miss. Go ahead.
I think too the difference between Kentucky and Florida's defense is a little bit better than Kentucky's. Just saying.
Well, I mean, it ain't hard.
You can't get any worse.
I mean, shit, man, your fourth graders could have a better defense than Kentucky's this year.
I guarantee you they would too. They'd get up in your kitchen.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's how it should be. But moving on from that share right there, I'm just going to run through these pretty quickly right here. Ole Miss is sitting at 5-5 in conference. Mississippi State is sitting at 5-6 in conference. LSU is 4-6. Georgia is 4-7. Arkansas 3-7, sitting in 12th place in the SEC. Ooh. Vanderbilt 1-9, sitting in 13th place, and Mizzou rounding out the very end 0-11.
Those are three of our next four opponents, dude. We have to win those games. Have to.
Well, and it's not even just win those handily.
Yes, like do what you're supposed to do. Do your job.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it should be, man. I mean, at the end of the day, Tennessee's a better team than all of those right there. And I want to see that. But, man, I think it's time we talk a little bit of bracketology.
The science of brackets. Let's go.
Man, let's do it. So I feel like I've been in the lab over here kind of curating some things right here. But currently, as of yesterday, so the 12th of February, Jerry Palm had released his whole bracket right here. And he's got the first four teams as Colorado and Nebraska, Utah and Texas, Merrimack and Eastern Kentucky, Norfolk State and South Dakota State. So that would be the first four teams to go play. In your first round, he has got, well, let me just go through seeds just for time constraints right here. So, your 1 seeds, your number 1 overall seed for Jerry Palm is UConn, 2 is Purdue, 3 is Houston, 4 is Arizona. Is there anything that stands out to you from that right there, Jordan?
Purdue, UConn, Houston, and Arizona.
Yeah, Purdue, UConn, Houston, Arizona. UConn being the number 1 overall.
I can see that they're number 1 in the country right now.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with that, honestly.
Purdue, they're good. They're good. You can't. I don't have any issues with that necessarily. Arizona, that one's questionable to me though.
Yeah, but they're 19-5 on the season. Quad 1, they're 7-3. Quad 2, 3-1. I mean, they've played a really good schedule. Strength of schedule is 10th.
Okay. Houston, what about them?
Houston is 7-3 in Quad 1, 2-0 in Quad 2, 5-0 in Quad 3. Quad 4 is 7-0. Strength of schedule is 30. Purdue.
Ooh.
So Purdue is sitting at number 2 in the net rankings. 8-2 Quad 1, 7-0 Quad 2, Quad 3, 4-0, Quad 4, 3-0, strength of schedule 1. Where UConn, let's just go ahead and round it out, 40th strength of schedule, 8-1, Quad 1, Quad 2, 5-1, Quad 3, 1-0, Quad 4, 8-0, with, like I said, the strength of schedule being the 40th.
Man, I'd almost argue to put Houston as that 2nd overall seed over Purdue. But going by the numbers,
I'm taking Purdue's the number 1 overall seed to me. I've said it over and over and over again, and I'm going to stick with my guns on that. I just think that they're the most dominant team in college basketball. They do a lot.
You got a big man that can just turn around and reach up and drop it in the bucket. It's easy to do.
Yeah, man, did you see that the other day that was going around on Twitter where he was at a marijuana dispensary going to go buy some stuff over there? Yeah, he kind of got in a lot of trouble on social media for that. So we'll see what happens. I wonder if the NCAA is going to step in. I mean, it's still illegal in Indiana. That's the only thing I'm going to say. So
if it was here, he would. If it was Tennessee, they would.
I don't like that argument at all. You're just trying to get me going. You're just trying to get me going. So let's jump on down to the number 2 seeds right here. Tennessee is sitting at the top overall, number 2 seed. That ranking right now, number 6. Quad 1, 4, and 5. Ooh. I don't like that. Oh, I don't like that at all.
And not many more chances to get more.
No, not a lot. Quad 2, 5-1. Who would be the Quad 2 loss?
Texas A&M. It'd have to be.
Yeah, but I don't think they're a Quad 2.
Or Miss State.
It would have to be State. It would have to be
surely.
State. Yeah, Quad 3, 4-0. Quad 4, 4-0. Strength of schedule 5.
Okay.
Man, that Quad 1 number is very concerning for me when you talk about Tennessee. But that does have Tennessee playing out of Memphis in the first round. So I think that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Until you look at those Quad 1 losses, I mean, we don't do moral victories, but I mean, look who they are: Purdue, Kansas, North Carolina, South Carolina. They've got to be a Quad 1.
Oh yeah.
And who's the other one? Who would be the other one? Kansas, Purdue, Kansas, North Carolina, South Carolina, and I mean, they're not bad losses.
No, they're not bad losses, but they're not. It's not what you want to see.
Well, no.
The State one is the most head-scratching one for me still through this point in the season.
Yeah, it has to be. Because that was just one. Tennessee went down there, just didn't look interested.
No. Rounding out the rest of the 2 overall seeds, you have a couple of opponents that Tennessee has played this year. Kansas is sitting at the 2nd overall, 12th overall in the net ranking, 6-3 in Quad 1. North Carolina, is sitting at the 3rd overall, number 2 seed. 10th in the net rankings, 6-4 in Quad 1, and then Marquette rounds out the 2 seeds with the 11th overall net ranking and 5-3 in Quad 1 games. Moving on to the 3 seeds, and this is as far down as I'll go today on this. And I'm only doing this because there's 2 SEC teams as 3 seeds. Who do you think they are?
South Carolina.
Bingo.
Alabama.
Correct. So South Carolina is sitting at the 45th net ranked team, 3-2 in quad one wins. Alabama is sitting as the 5th ranked net team. Kind of crazy for me on that, but they're 3-6 in quad one games.
Ooh.
It's kind of ugly right there.
Yeah.
But that is kind of what we've got right here. Teams that are on the bubble right now. You've got Michigan State, TCU, Texas Tech, Cincinnati, Colorado, Gonzaga, Indiana State, and Memphis. Also, man, talking on Indiana State, I don't know if you saw, they made the AP Top 25 for the first time in a very long time. Can you tell me the last time that they were ranked in the top 25?
Oh gosh, no.
It was back when Larry Bird was playing.
Woo! The Sycamores.
Yeah. Man, so my brother-in-law, his dad went to Indiana State and lived in the same dorm building as Larry Bird his freshman year. Kind of cool right there.
That is cool.
Yeah, he always wants to talk about that, and he'll tell everybody he's related to Elvis too. So
that's like everybody here. They're related to Dolly.
Dolly's my grandma, and I grew up underneath a wild eagle. Man, come on.
Right? Yeah, heck yeah. So out of the bubble teams, man, who gets off the bubble and makes it in? Give me two.
Out of your bubble teams. I'm going to take Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give you three. I can't pick between two of them. Michigan State and Indiana State.
I like it. I was going to take Texas Tech and Michigan State. So, I mean, coaching matters.
It really does. I just think that Indiana State's having a great year. Kind of diving into this too, man. I mean, you look at the net rankings. Michigan State's 23rd. Texas Tech is 38th. And then Indiana State's 20.
Izzo, you're right. And Izzo's a tournament coach. He'll get them ready. He'll get them ready for the Big Ten tournament.
As he should.
And they'll make a run. That's what I think.
I agree, man. I agree. Well, let's talk a little bit on the top 25 before we jump into stuff, since the new rankings have been released since the last time we recorded. And there's been quite a shakeup in a couple of things, man. So just going through the top 10 very quickly, and then I'll jump into SEC teams. UConn, number 1, Purdue, number 2, Houston, number 3, Marquette, number 4, Arizona, 5, Kansas, 6, North Carolina, 7, Tennessee, 8, Duke, 9, Iowa State, 10. SEC team at number 11, South Carolina.
Ooh.
Then Tennessee got the shit end of the stick. The fact that team wasn't ranked.
Right.
Like, I think everybody looked at it in Vol Nation who was not educated. I don't want to. The casual fan looked at it as, you lost to unranked South Carolina. Oh my God, the world's on fire. Fire Rick Barnes.
Right.
That's a really good basketball team, man. I mean, it's crazy how good South Carolina is. They're 21-3 on the season. Next SEC ranked team is Auburn at 13, Alabama at 15, Kentucky at 22. And then they're already SEC, Oklahoma at 25.
So what you're saying is we've got 4 more teams on the schedule with an opportunity to get 4 more ranked wins.
Yeah, I mean, you got Kentucky, you've got Alabama, Auburn, South Carolina. Yeah, I mean, you've got all that. And then, I mean, other opponents that Tennessee's played on the year too. Wisconsin's sitting at 20. I mean, you've got Purdue sitting at 2. I mean, Kansas is 6, North Carolina at 7.
Yeah, every loss.
Illinois at 14.
Right. Every loss that we've got, except for Texas A&M and Mississippi State, have come to top 25 teams.
Yeah. And,
top 15.
I mean, you're not wrong. Like, it's kind of crazy to think about it. And, like, you know, I'm starting to think the world's coming to an end when I talk about the quad 1 wins earlier. And now I'm like, okay, but look at who you beat. Look at who you've lost to.
Right.
Like,
right.
You know, sometimes we'll be good on all that. But Jordan, let's take a quick break real quick, man.
All
right, Jordan, man, you want to talk some hogs?
Let's talk some bacon, son.
Man, let's do it. So Tennessee does travel to Fayetteville for the 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central tip on Valentine's Day on ESPN2. Matchup predictor is giving Tennessee an 86.5% chance to win, where Arkansas is getting a 13.5% chance to win.
Not much there. Not much there.
No,
12 and 11 and on the year for Arkansas. So
yeah, I mean, man, they haven't really done anything. 12 and 11, like you said, 3 and 7 in conference. I mean, 12th place in the SEC. I mean, what is there to really say about this team other than Tennessee should control this game in every single aspect without any questions?
this needs to be another get right game for them. That's what it needs to be. They've, Arkansas scores 75 points a game this year, but they give up, just as much, just about it. And Tennessee's good enough to do it. So go do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, diving into the full team stats right here, man, both teams shoot 44.9 and 44.8% from the field. So you've got two identical teams. Tennessee leads the rebounding at 39 per game, where Arkansas is at 35.5 per game. Tennessee blows the assist total out of the water with it being 17 versus their 11. Blocks, Arkansas leads at 6.5 to Tennessee's almost 5. Steals, Tennessee's at 8 per game, where Arkansas is at 5.7. And win streak, the streaks, Tennessee lost 1, Arkansas win 1. Kind of diving into what Arkansas has done in their last 5 games. They got the win against Georgia and a win against Mizzou. They lost to LSU, Kentucky, and Ole Miss, where Tennessee in their last 5 lost to A&M and lost to South Carolina, and then beat LSU, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt. So Tennessee needs a get-right game. And I hate to use that term, man, because we're too far into the season at this point to be using the term get-right game, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where the biggest thing I want to see them fix is rebounding the ball, because Texas A&M absolutely manhandled Tennessee on the boards, and that's unacceptable.
Yeah, well, Tennessee's got a lot of work to do if they're going to be able to get that taken care of. Let's see, diving into leaders for the Razorbacks. Tamarian Mark, he is the leader in points per game for the Hogs. He is averaging 17.6 per game. Going into rebounds, you've got Trayvon Brazel, sophomore, 6'10", from Springfield, Missouri. He is averaging 6.5 per game. And then going into assists, you have Devontae Davis, senior from Jacksonville, Arkansas, who is leading them in assists at 2.2 per game. Wow. I'm just going to say it, man. This is not a good team.
No.
Tennessee should be able to have their way with Arkansas. It wouldn't surprise me if Arkansas goes and does Arkansas things, like they find a way to get the ship right in this game. Wouldn't surprise me, but Tennessee should have no issues.
Right. Tennessee cannot afford to have this game even be close, really, I don't think. I mean, the sky's not falling, none of that. It's just like we've said, man, these next 4 games are games that can hurt our tournament seeding, and Tennessee can't afford to drop them. You know what I mean?
Well, Tennessee is still in the race for a number 1 seed.
Right.
And you lose another game, you're probably not. I mean, let's just be realistic. If you don't lose another game in the regular season, I think you've locked up a 1 seed. If you drop another game in the regular season, you're probably not a 1 seed. So, and then a lot of it depends on what you do a mile and a half down the road from where I'm at right now at Bridgestone.
Right. Well, I would honestly almost assume have that top number 2 seed as opposed to the 4th 1 seed.
I don't disagree with you right there.
You get that bottom 1 seed and you're playing the top 1 seed out of the bracket. It's like,
Well, and it's not even just that, man. You think about it. Tennessee would get stuck in Los Angeles at that point.
No, we don't want that.
I'd much rather be playing out of Dallas or Boston or Greensboro, North Carolina, than playing out of Los Angeles. That's all I'm going to say, or Detroit.
Right.
I would rather do any of that than go play in Los Angeles and be a 1 seed. And, maybe that's something for the next episode. We'll kind of break it down and decide who wants to do what right there. But, Jordan, give me your score prediction for the game before we close this out.
I'm going to say 93-71 Vols.
Ooh, ooh, I like it.
We get
Man.
right. We start shooting the ball again like we did for 2 games in a row. Dalton Connect gets his 40. Bold prediction, baby.
I'll take it, man. Give me Tennessee 85-71. I think Tennessee bounces back big, but at the same time, I think we're going to still see some questions come up with this team when it comes to rebounding and the lack of toughness on the interior.
Solid. I will say this though. I think that the issues we have right now are very coachable and very fixable. I know it's a little late in the year to be talking about stuff like that, but they're not huge glaring issues that can't be fixed.
You're right.
You know, practice them tough for the next 2 weeks or so. I don't mean run their brains out, but let them get physical. Get them out there. Get them mad before you go out and play games. Get them mad at each other. Get them mad being ready to bump with somebody else. You know, that's what it takes. That's what it's going to take, and it's all fixable issues and coachable issues. So, and if anybody can get it right, Ricky Dale can.
Yeah, he sure can, man. He sure can. Well, guys, we will be better on bringing out this content to you. I just felt like I was dying for the past couple of days, so once again, I do apologize. But Jordan, man, let's wrap a bow on this one, and let's come back here in a couple of days and break down the Hogs and look ahead to the Commodores.
Ooh, maybe we get in touch with Corey, have him come back on with us.
I think we need to do that, man. That'd be a fun one again, right there. So
Absolutely.
let's do that. But guys, as always, go Vols.
Go Vols.